Welcome to the GeniusVets Show for veterinary practice owners and industry pros. At GeniusVets, it's our mission to help veterinary practices thrive, and this webinar and podcast supports that mission by giving a platform to the best and brightest minds in the veterinary industry, where we identify challenges facing veterinary practices today, and discussing ideas, insights, and solutions that practice owners need to know about. If you like today's show, that's something we'd love to know. Feel free to send an email to genius@geniusvets.com. And make sure to check out the wealth of resources available to veterinary practices at geniusvets.com/pro. That's geniusvets.com/pro. Now, without any further ado, let's dive into today's show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the GeniusVets Show. I'm your host, David Hall, co-founder here at GeniusVets. And today we've got a fantastic episode lined up for you, an incredible guest, Dr. Mark Thompson, currently the American Animal Hospital Association president, and also at the same time, an owner of 2 veterinary practice locations. He's in here, he's doing an incredible career. Earlier this year, Dr. Thompson was kind enough to join us as GeniusVets put on the Veterinary Practice Ownership Symposium at WVC. We had a panel discussion where we brought on some industry thought leaders to talk about what the trends, the threats, and the opportunities are that are facing veterinary practice ownership today. Dr. Thompson joined us on that panel and lent some real wisdom. So wanted to invite him today to the show to dive in and talk about some of those issues a little bit more, as well as talking a little bit about his time as the AAHA president and what that's been like, what he's been able to accomplish. So without any further ado, Dr. Thompson, thank you so much for joining us here today on the GeniusVets Show.
Great. Thanks, David, for having me. I'm honored to be a part of this. But just to give you a little history of my journey. I grew up on a farm, so I applied to veterinary school to be a mixed animal practitioner. Went through 3.5 years before I decided small animal was for me. And specifically things like surgery and advanced diagnostics really interested me, which then led me to practice ownership. I've been a practice owner for almost 24 years now, and I practice in rural Wisconsin. So believe it or not, our practice is considered a rural practice as far as if you look at the demographics of where I practice. I have 2 practices, and I do this with 2 doctors, one at each location, myself at one, which is a highly productive practice, and the other one I have an associate at. I currently am the president of the American Animal Hospital Association. I've been on the board since 2009, and I've loved that journey to help others simplify their journey to excellence in veterinary practice. That's our whole key with AAHA. So
yeah, and that's fascinating. You know, AAHA is such an incredible organization leading the industry in terms of standards and so much. Can you tell us a little bit? I mean, I know you've been on the board for quite a long time, so you've been shaping policy, you've been shaping direction and all of those things for quite a long time. And now for this past year, stepping into the role of being the president, again, while continuing to run your 2 practice locations, amazing. Can you tell us a little bit? I think that a lot of people would be interested to hear, you know, what's been involved with your role as the president? What type of responsibilities do you have? What have you been able to see and do and accomplish, you know, during that time?
So it's been an incredible journey. I didn't realize, even as a board member, how much work it is to run an association. Just the day in and day out. It's incredible staff that we have that is running from meeting to meeting at all these conventions. I've been lucky enough to travel with AAHA and see a lot of the country and meet a lot of previous presidents, a lot of members along the way, which gives me huge insight to what we do and how much it means to people. It's incredibly eye-opening to see the perception of AHA and its membership. People look to us to guidance, and they follow standards of care, which gives them kind of a backbone to build their practice on. And everyone practices differently, but in general, we're just looking at improving the standards of care everywhere.
I
And now
love that.
we're in Japan, so we're in Canada, United States, and Japan now, and there will be extension probably soon into to South Korea. So we are truly going international.
Wow. So going international, I mean, that's no small deal. Going international, I mean, and not the least of which is translating everything that you have into new languages, which is a really big deal. And
I think
really, doing a lot of content myself. I mean, there's so much there that can be lost in translation. So there's, a lot to that, right?
I think that's our biggest hurdle with going internationally is finding out how translation. I mean, you can translate something, but it can lose its intent if you are not really working hard on it. We've been working on this um, international accreditation for Japan for years. It's not something that happens overnight at all. And I think we've got a good business model to help them through and extend the practices that are already there. I think we have 8 right now that are accredited. Extend what they can do as far as standards of care also.
Love that. Nice. What about any particular initiatives here at home in the States?
Oh, we've got a lot of irons in the fire. Our strategic plan is really focused on membership and communication with the membership. We had a lot of communication with membership of what direction they want us to go in and what they want to see, how they would like to see the standards of care change, which we're in a complete revamp of standards of care right now, which is 900 standards of care that have to be reevaluated and updated, and that's something that was an ongoing process. But this new process is really looking at where we can extend into things like physical therapy and business management, and some of the things that go on in private practice, like holistic medicine, that we don't touch right now. So those are things that are on the forefront for us. But standards of care is really what we do. Guidelines for care is another really big thing. I was a part of a group that did the guidelines for utilization of technicians. I'm really proud of that work, and it's getting a lot of traction. But one of the bigger things that we're looking at this year, we published a white paper on staff retention and attrition, and reasons for that. And that has been very eye-opening as far as why do people leave, why did they stay, and how do we address the overall culture of our veterinary practices in the US right now is where we're focused, but that extends to all of our accreditation.
I love that. Absolutely love that. It's really important work. That's stuff that, we talk about constantly at Genius Vets. Dr. Drake recently just finished writing her book. It's being picked up by Wiley Press. That really gets into that building a culture so that you can both attract and retain staff. And once you've retained them, that you can actually get them all bought in all the way and performing at their highest level, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
um, it's funny when you get into all the training stuff. I had one practice owner in a big group discussion said, "Well, what if I train these people up and then they leave?" But the antithesis of that is, well, what if you don't train them and they stay? Like
Right.
really got to do that. So that's fantastic to see that AHA's putting out such great recommendations and all of that. Encourage everybody to take a look at that. When you talk about putting up recommendations on utilization of techs, I'd love for you to dive into that a little bit, because something that I happen to know about your practice, And because you've recently become a GeniusVets client, I know we're building you a new website. It's not live yet, but we're working on that stuff for you. But it really opened my eyes to realizing how incredibly productive you are as a veterinarian in your own practice. I would absolutely love if you would talk about that a little bit, today as we go through, and earlier, as I said earlier this year, you joined us on a panel discussion, talk about the trends, the threats, and the opportunities. I think that's an opportunity that I really want to get to. But let's go ahead, let's do some of this in order. When you talking about the trends, the threats, the opportunities that are facing veterinary practice owners today, what do you think the big macro trends are that everybody needs to be paying attention to?
Well, your trends are going to be where's your pharmacy going to go, and really who's going to be providing care for your patients when you're not there, and is this truly a place where telemedicine is going to come in? Is this something that's going to happen as far as emergency clinics? We've had some close across the U.S. And trends are really, really optimistic for me as far as the efficiency part of veterinary practice and getting out of those dark ages where the veterinarian has to do everything.
So you're seeing efficiencies, and it sounds like technology-driven efficiencies, as well as being able to take care, have a good plan for taking care of clients when the practice isn't open, and managing their pharmacy. So let's talk about those a little bit more. On the pharmacy side, what are you talking about? Are you talking about practices utilizing their own online pharmacies?
Absolutely. So online pharmacies is one thing that we do, but we've also looked at what happens when someone comes and wants to get products somewhere else. Um, are we going to be fighting that battle, or are we going to be charging the appropriate amount for our services that we're billing? And I chose to go the direction of making sure I'm charging for the services that I'm billing, and pharmacy would be a bonus in that situation, not the old way of thinking, which is pharmacy as a subsidy of some kind to our services. So you really got to have things that are profit centers that stand on their own. And part of that is trying to figure out what are my costs. What are my costs of my staffing, and that really for us is around 20%, 20% related to our veterinary billing part of it, and then 40% of your cost of goods sold. So if you look at things like dietary products, your diets and that kind of thing, unfortunately, they are probably the least desirable for a practice because of their footprint to their markup value. So when I look at food, it's really hard to make a huge margin on food because the retail value and our cost of goods does not match any of the other things that I produce in my practice. And quite frankly, I can use that footprint for something else that is more productive, such as we're putting in a hyperbaric chamber in the next 2 months here. Laser treatments, we have physical therapy. We do a lot of physical therapy, and just advanced imaging that's becoming more and more available to practices as they look to provide more of that care. As some of these emergency clinics struggle to see all of our patients, we have to help them in some way. And part of that is using technology and telemedicine to try and get images looked at, make sure we're not missing things. All of that stuff is really exciting stuff and really great opportunities for the general practice.
And it sounds like when you're talking about telemedicine, you're talking more like having radiology specialists that, as a doctor, you're sending out to and collaborating with specialists through telemedicine. It doesn't sound like you're talking about client-facing telemedicine, or are you?
Correct. I'm only talking about the help that you can get your staff and your doctors to be more efficient within the practice itself, not outward facing, not looking at telemedicine is a whole different ballgame, and in some states it just can't do that for non clients. But we've been doing telemedicine facing the client for as long as I've been a veterinarian. It's just now going to the it's talked a lot about going to non-client telemedicine, which is very different, and trying to gain clients by using telemedicine. Whatever your viewpoint is on that, right now it's just not a possibility in some states.
Right, right, absolutely. Um, let's talk about any other, you mentioned that you're excited about other efficiencies, maybe technology-driven efficiencies. Do you have any sort of a list of those that are particularly exciting to you?
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, most of my efficiencies come with data entry. So you can now even get someone that can be not even at your location, be listening and doing data entry for you in your exam rooms, out in your treatment areas. You can have them answering phones remotely. There's just a tremendous amount of help that you wouldn't have to have a staff member with the expenses of a staff member to do. So I think it's a fairly exciting thing. Obviously, with all of these exciting things, you can't do everything, and you got to do it with a little bit of care as to how your particular clients perceive that additional service that you're providing, and make sure that you're not overstepping where some of these technologies get rid of some of the things that really make our profession great, which is that interaction between client and veterinarian and client and staff. For my point of view, it's client and staff, because we use our entire staff to serve our clients, not just the doctor.
Yeah, I think that's such an important point when looking at anything from and you're talking about, you mentioned some technology. I thought you were going to go like AI scribe, scribing direction, and you're actually talking about utilizing people as remote workers, right? Virtual assistants who can come along, and perhaps there's a marriage of some of those things, but as we enable technology to come in and create efficiencies and stuff, I agree that the wrong way to do it is sticking it in between the interaction and user experience and saying, "Hey, technology, you take care of the client experience." No, 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 no. If you keep people, keeping that high touch, you build those relationships, it solidifies those things, it brings comfort. It's that, and where you can allow, the technology to supplement work that you would be doing on the back end that people aren't really seeing anyway. I mean, that's really, I think, the right direction to be looking for these efficiencies.
And that's for my practice, that's exactly what we've done. I don't think our clients really know how much technology goes into the backside of it, whether it's the AI tools or telemedicine tools that go into radiology, or if it's just help from remote employees.
Yeah, that's very cool. Um, if people are looking to get it, how did you go about finding remote employees to what? It sounds like they're on the phone with you, they're listening, they're
Yeah,
typing.
there's a number of companies that do that, and um, again, there's a pushback of how do you utilize everything. It really needs to be best practice for you, and I think really when you look at utilizing stuff like that, data entry positions, you really need to make sure that you're not getting in the way of yourself, meaning. Don't hire someone just to hire someone so you have this technology. Hire someone with a really clear purpose of this is what is going to help me to spend more time with my clients. This is going to help me see more patients. This is going to help me do a better job. Those things you have to figure out before you start implementing every new thing under the sun, because there's a whole bunch of them and they're coming from a lot of different companies, some of them which are not located in the US, and some of them are right here, next door. So
Yeah.
just make sure that you're doing the right thing for your clients and patients foremost and firstly before you start adding in technology. I will tell you that I'm a early adopter of things, and so when you become innovative, you have to realize that innovation requires that you'll fail. If you're not failing, you're not innovative. So some of these things will fail in your practice if you try too many at a time and you don't really ask the questions before you do them. So make sure that you figure out why, and not just because Dr. John down the road is doing the same thing and it works for him. Yeah, that's my advice to people is make sure you don't let technology overwhelm you or get in the way of what you're doing.
Yeah, that's spoken. That is advice, sage advice spoken as somebody who I can just hear the way you describe that you are dedicated to being an early adopter and an innovator, and realizing that yeah, through some fits and starts and some mistakes in here and something that you have hope into and it not working out, saying no, well, it doesn't mean I'm not going to innovate. It means I'm going to become more disciplined and I'm going to learn from how can I mitigate the times that maybe don't go the way as planned, and having that clear plan is really the key to that. That's very good advice. Hey, so we talked about the trends. What do you think some of the threats are that are facing veterinary practice ownership today?
Well, I think the biggest one we talk about a lot is pharmacy. However, if you really look at pharmacy, pharmacy could be an opportunity also, an opportunity to run a lower inventory number. That is helpful so that you can actually spend that money on other things like service, which are higher margin things. But pharmacy is a threat for the general practice because there's so many of us that rely on pharmacy to subsidize our service, and a lot of times we don't even realize what we're doing. We don't even realize that it's really a subsidy for my service. And so then if you are using it as a subsidy, you need it in order to provide your service, or you think you need it to provide your service. So I think that is a threat for most general practices. My feeling is I've decreased my inventory, and also I've decreased my pharmacy sales to about 16 to 17% of my gross income. And it's done on purpose. I sell the things that they need right away. I start to move towards using online pharmacies, and allowing people to get a script without punishing them for asking for it. And by doing that, I'm still providing good quality care, but I'm also in the position of seeing what my clients want and need, and charging for the things that really make me money, and find out what those things are before you start changing everything. But when we look at pharmacy is something that can be easily competed for. It is not easy to compete for a type of procedure that you do, physical therapy or laser treatments, or even having your laboratory or imaging. It's very hard to compete for that kind of income, but it's real easy for someone to pick off your pharmacy. And especially you have to make money. You cannot compete with these pharmacies that are ordering $1 million worth of product and you're ordering 40,000, just dollars and cents. So that's a threat as far as, but it's an opportunity for us to grow and get a little bit better too. As far as other threats, I think our biggest threat is ourselves. We lose a lot of money when we talk about staff turnover. That's one of the biggest threats that I see coming down the line here is is not being able to retain our staff. And we did a study, AAHA did a study that talked about what is the financial impact, and it's somewhere between $40,000 and $50,000 a staff member, a trained staff member. But I always look at training as an ongoing thing. We don't get through a training. We start a training and we continue to train over and over and over and over again. So, but the biggest threat there is they can find a job with the same income that you're providing. You need to give them reasons to stay there. And I think we have those. We are a unique business. Our business is animals, helping animals, and there's a reason why they come to work for us. So we need to really embrace that, figure out what keeps them there, and do our best to say, I've hired them for a reason, so I need to try and work with them to get them up to speed, train them, retrain them, train them again. So that you can retain them and save that turnover value.
Yeah, you made a lot of really interesting points there, and the two big ones being focusing on your staff and really getting them focusing on that culture, getting them to really enjoy, want to stay for the long haul, avoiding that turnover, wherever you can. So important. It's amazing to me when I hear practice owners really kind of burning out on their staff, right?
Yeah.
um, and the process of dealing with them, and that's just, I mean, it's such a massive and ongoing, never-ending part of that's what you do, right? When
Yeah.
you're a practice owner or a manager, constantly just that's farming, that's nurturing your field there. They're your producers. You want them to yield fruit, so got to nourish them. I love that. The other thing is, I think it's a really interesting framing for you to talk about pharmacy as actually subsidizing services. And I think as soon as you say that, you go, oh, wait a second here. That's not the way it should be. Pharmacy can't be subsidizing this. The services need to survive on their own, and be profitable on their own. And the pharmacy, to what extent you're doing it, it needs to be profitable on its own. And so running it almost like they're two separate businesses so that you're cutting the line of that dependency. And then if you're able to really do that, it doesn't have to bring the stress. You're not feeling the stress of your threat of pharmacy because you know that your services can stand on their own. But the other part that we're looking at, and we're talking about threats, a lot of the feedback we got from practice owners around the country is, they're feeling their profit margins being squeezed, right? And the offsetting fear of that is they raise their prices. A lot of them for the first time during COVID, just in recent years, first time they raised their prices in way too long. Most practices have gone like a decade, hadn't raised their prices or more. They raised their price a little bit, and now they're feeling like maybe they hit the top of the price elasticity curve, right? I mean, we are actually finally seeing prices in different categories across the country coming down. So that's an effect of companies saying, hey, prices ran up, consumers are pulling back. If we want to maintain sales, maybe we have to come down a little bit. But it seems like, to make your services stand on their own and really hold that profit margin, if anything, maybe more people, are you suggesting maybe prices need to go up a little bit further so you can solidify, that business to be profitable just on a service side? How does this, there's probably a lot of people who are listening who are dealing with this, these conflicting desires and things that they're dealing with.
Yeah, and one of the things that we've done is offer wellness plans. So they offer monthly payment plans to the clients. Yeah, it's interesting to see. I don't look at prices anymore, other than when I'm changing things. I have my staff deal with it because I'm more sensitive to price increases and saying, oh, maybe we shouldn't do that, than presenting that from the staff to the client, and we see less pushback to the staff than we do to the doctor. But yeah, I do think that we need to make sure we're profitable on our services. And if you're not figuring out how much that costs you, everything that goes into it, staffing is a big part of that. 20% of your cost of a service is your staffing. So make sure that you're calculating that out and finding out how much does it cost me to do a nail trim. Because if you're losing $2 on a nail trim, you don't need to do more. You need to do less or move your price. If you want to do something for less than what it costs you, more power to you. But figure it out and find out what you want to lose money on, what you want to make money on. Because at the end of the day, you should start with a profit margin and work your way back, instead of start with, how do I raise my prices? I would go to the end of it and say, I want to make 20% at the end of the day, and then take out everything and say, how much am I making at the end of the day?
I like it. Yep, pragmatic approach to evaluating your price structures throughout, and maybe costs, and looking at where can you be more efficient on the things that are going into cost of goods and all of that. Fantastic. Hey, one more big question. Next, the last big section here, really want to get your advice on is, what do you think the opportunities are? Opportunities facing veterinary practice owners today that they can take hold of, grab hold of, so that they're running thriving businesses today and for years to come.
There's a lot. I mean, veterinary medicine, I'm really optimistic for what we have. We can do so much nowadays, and people are asking for it. They're asking for physical therapy. They're asking for innovative treatments like hyperbaric oxygen, chiropractic, acupuncture. That doesn't mean that chiropractic and acupuncture should be going through your doctor's schedule. What I'm talking about is making your practice as efficient as it possibly can. And we have more tools to increase our efficiency in both marketing and actual day-to-day workload than we've ever had. Meaning companies can help you do that, just like GeniusVets can help you with marketing goals that you have. But also, when you look at opportunities for innovative treatments, physical therapy didn't exist when I started this profession. And I look at it, and we've been doing physical therapy now for a little over 24 years. We started small and just worked up, and now it's its own profit center, and we do well with it. But find what you really like doing, and expand what you can do. But the possibilities are really great for veterinary medicine today. And I think people are looking for better ways to treat their animals. We can do so much with the help of technology to help us provide better service at point of care. And so that clinic, when you get a fine needle aspirate, you can actually send that out and have someone look at it, a pathologist look at it. You don't have to be perfect at everything that you do. You just have to know where to find the answers, and you have to know where to use the technologies in your practice to your benefit. And again, that's going to be different for every veterinarian. So every veterinarian has an idea of what they want to do in their career. Mine was not to hold puppies and kittens. Mine was more of an idea of how many people can I help, and how many people can I touch. Not necessarily how many animals can I touch, how many people can you touch. If you touch people, and you help animals, this profession's bright for everyone. And it, I had a student that came to me about 2 years ago, and she was watching in the clinic, and I said, well, why are you here? She goes, well, I don't want to deal with people. And I said, oh my goodness, I hate to tell you this, you're in 4th year of veterinary school, but you went to school for the wrong thing, because that's what we're doing. We're helping people help their pets. And indirectly, it's translated into how can I do a better job every day? But we're helping people, and that's really the key of how do you use technology? How do you use your staff? How do you make money at this, and do all of that and balance everything with your life outside of veterinary medicine?
Yeah. Well, that absolutely is a people business. And I think that goes, it's something we talk about a lot. I always try and set the mindset for veterinarians, because vets are, and particularly practice owners, but you're typically most veterinarians are so focused on the service delivery to the pet. They love the pets. They're dedicated, passionate about the medicine. They want to practice good medicine. They want to do a good job for the pets, but you're examining and operating on and prescribing to pets, but it is the pet parent, it's the pet owner that is with that pet all the time. If you really want to make that pet's life better, you got to start by educating that pet owner, and they're the decision maker, they're the caretaker, they're the ones that's with. There's 8,760 hours in a year. And how much of that time does a pet owner actually get to spend with a doctor asking questions and getting good information from the veterinarian? If the 15 minutes, a half an hour, maybe. If the rest of the time, what are they doing? The average pet owner has a few questions a week. So they take those questions, they go to Google and they start their search. They go to Google, they go to search engines, they're going looking for information. And so what I'm waving the flag and beating the drum on is veterinarians have to take much more seriously their job as a information provider, and to build your website as an information rich resource, because veterinary care truly, from the perspective of the client, veterinary care is about information first and services second. If they need to have the information so they can okay the services, so they can even bring their pet in to know that the pet needs services, they need that first. They need to get that information. And every veterinarian that I talk to can connect with the stories of, people coming in and they want to talk about, they're all proud of the research they've done online to try and deduce it themselves. And, they feel like they've done a good thing. And they're often coming in misinformed, bad information that's out there, because they're not getting it directly from the veterinarian, because their veterinarian who they're coming to didn't actually, you go to their website and there's like 8 bullet points. We do wellness care, we do preventive this, we do senior care, we do dental. And there's like no information about what does that mean and what does that go into. And it's not answering people's questions. So really important to put on that hat of the information provider, and then to empower the staff to train them well on the right information, and to allow them to, to do what they can to contribute to that ecosystem of giving good information to pet owners. I think that's a tremendous opportunity. But I also happen to know you're one of the probably most productive individual vets in the country. You have a very high level of productivity. Do you mind sharing with the audience where your productivity is at in your practice?
My personal productivity, you mean?
Yeah, like you're just a high producer.
Yeah, yeah. And so, as AHA president, it's a little lower than it would be
For
if I
sure.
run.
You only have another full-time job that's taking it. You're right.
But yeah, I produce over 2.6 million a year. And that's just, I mean, this year is going to be a little down just because of the time away from home. But 2.6 is because of my staff. It is not because I'm something really great. I'm doing something different than everyone else. It's because I train my staff every single day. I train them and retrain them, and we get better every single day. And that attitude of I've made it is not there. We want to say we can improve on everything that we do every day. We can do something better and be more successful the next day. And so it's really a
What's your support staff ratio for you?
I
How
have
many?
7.1 to 1.
7.1 to 1 support staff.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting because I've talked to other very high producers. You're producing significantly high. I think that's the highest individual production number that I've come across. And I've also talked to other vets that are doing, 1.5, 1.6, something like that, but they're using a lot of staff. They're using 10 staff, 12 staff, support staff. So the fact that you're able to do that with a number that the old a couple of years ago, the AHA report said that, kind of the bell curve seemed to be between 6 to 8 support staff per veterinarian is kind of a sweet spot for productivity. And you're right there.
Yes.
7.1.
So,
Incredible.
but we got eyes on something much bigger than that. I think as a doctor that utilizes their staff to its fullest, you can go way over 3 million. Yeah, way over 3 million per doctor. It's just, what do you want out of practice? And do you want people to stay with you? If you do, you have to utilize them, because they're not there to watch you work. And that's I think one of the biggest things I see when veterinarians come to my practice. They're just like, well, I want to do that. Well, okay, yeah, but that's their job. And they're not going to stay if they're not able to do their job. Because you want to use your mind for something great. And if you make it great for them, they're going to make it great for you. And
Yeah, that's the number one reason for vet tech burnout, right? Is that they thought they were going to get in and do all the stuff that you would see like a nurse doing in a human doctor office. They do the majority of it. The doctor swoops in and out, maybe, but the nurse is doing everything. And then they get in a lot of veterinary practices, they're, treated like a glorified receptionist. They're not allowed to do higher level stuff, and every high producer that I've talked to, one thing they consistently always say is, you let the lowest paid employee do the highest level of work that they're capable of doing. Let them get up. So the doctor's only doing the real smart doctor stuff that only you can do.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's more fun for me to practice than when I started. Yeah, when I started, I had to do all that kind of stuff, and I didn't. I came in with a staff that really didn't have training, and it's an evolution. And you don't get there overnight. You don't get there in a day or a year or 2 years. You get there over a long period of time, and make it what you want it to be. Your vision of practice is going to be different than mine. Yeah, but make that vision happen and take some people along the way with you. Yeah, I think that's the best advice I could give people is take people along the way. Show them how to do their job, and I think you're going to be better off in the long run for it.
Yeah, I love it. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Thompson, for taking some time out of your incredibly busy schedule to spend with us here, to share your wisdom. We're going to send this far and wide as we can, try and get this in front of as many veterinary practice owners and managers as we possibly can. Any parting words of wisdom or advice, recommendations, what you think practice owners should be looking at and doing right now?
Staff retention is your biggest issue, and I think if you look at how do I retain my staff, that's the biggest takeaway I have. Most of my techs have been with me for 10, 15 years, and they're there. They're not going to go anywhere else because they're not going to be utilized like we utilize them. They're able to do their job. So keep that in mind, how much it costs you for staff turnover. And then make sure you realize that when someone's struggling, that, oh, this is going to cost me $50,000 if they leave. So try and figure out how to make it so that they're not struggling so much. Make it a better place for them to work, and everyone's going to benefit from that.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. Well, again, thank you so much for your time here today. And to everybody who tuned in, thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy day. Hey, we got a lot of stuff coming up for you in future episodes. So continue to check those out. And remember, right now, your veterinary practice already has on GeniusVets.com a full page profile. It's true. It's live. It's right now. Go check it out. Go to GeniusVets.com. You can look for, we got a little search bar. You can put in your address. You can see your veterinary practice profile, full page profile. You can claim it for free. It's 100% free. These rank really well in Google search results. And what you want is when anybody goes online looking for anything related to pet care in your area, all roads online point to you. That's what you really want. This helps you do that. Go make sure that the information about your practice that's on there is correct. If you see anything incorrect, hey, claim that profile. We're going to help you correct it. And it's really easy to take care of. A lot more stuff that we can do for you. Check it out, and again, look for our next episode next week.
It's no secret that the past 2 years have been a roller coaster ride for veterinary practice owners. But the truth is, right now is the greatest opportunity of your lifetime to grow and strengthen your veterinary practice for years to come. Business goes in cycles. These cycles have peaks and valleys. Right now we're at a peak. But at some point, there will be a valley. Smart and successful business owners find a way to build a bridge to get from peak to peak so that they never have to climb out of a valley. Now is the time for you to build your bridge. What is that bridge? It's an investment. Investing in your operations, in getting your staff well aligned, and in delivering a higher level of customer service. Are you looking to attract doctors and staff? Do you want to make it easier than ever to deliver a higher level of customer service, to attract clients that are ready and willing to follow your advice and will happily pay whatever you charge? The key to all of this is truly understanding the processes people go through leading up to, during, and after their interactions with your practice. How do doctors and staff find and evaluate you before applying? What is the complete customer journey for your clients? And how can your practice better support these people in every step they take? Knowing the answers to these questions and implementing strategies to support them can be transformational to your veterinary practice, leading to increased workplace satisfaction, happier clients, and significantly higher profit margins. GeniusVets has proven to be an industry leader in helping veterinary practice owners take their businesses to the next level in all of these ways and more. GeniusVets offers many incredibly valuable resources that can help you grow and strengthen your veterinary practice that are completely free of charge, along with professional services that strongly outperform every other company in their space. If you've not yet scheduled your free consultation and demo with GeniusVets, we would strongly recommend that you do so now. It might be one of the best things you do for your business this year.